Okay, Matt, I am going to show you here about the what I've done with the cooling tower drawings. I was going to do one, a long video showing you the step by step of how I changed everything, but I figured I would just, now that I've got it good and finished, I'll explain it to you the way that I did my drawing and the way that I've set up our inlet and outlet connection selections or options, whatever you want to call it. Excuse me, I've got a throat thing going on, so if you hear a machine gun throat sound, that's what's going on. So anyway, let's start at the top left, and let's start at the top here, and we'll kind of move our way down. So for starters, I colored title red, changed this to 8-point font. That's 8-point font. I took out the little orange box you had just because it didn't look really uniform with what our with the way that it looks. This looks much more clean and uniform, and so that's why I took that out. But anyhow, let's start with the tower itself. I deleted the frame. Remember, you had a cooling tower frame here like that, kind of. I took that out, and the reason is because the 25 ton and below, that's the 850 and 650 series towers, we do not use a 4-inch C-channel frame. If you notice, I've taken it out on these drawings, and what you can really tell is if you look at the picture. Let's see, I'll see if I can get this picture open for you here. I'm going to go to quote templates, then open cooling towers, then let's go to 10 ton, and if you open up this picture here, let me zoom in, you can see this is the kind of the way that we sell this tower. We don't put this flange on there, but everything else is kind of as is. We've got an outlet here, but we palletize the 10 ton through the 25 ton, and crate it and everything, and the customer can decide how they want to mount it in the field. One thing I did, you'll notice the bolts on the towers. If you notice here, these are not bolts. You had 5 bolts going across this tower, which actually these on the 10 through 25 ton, we just use rivets, which you see that's kind of my drawing for a rivet. If you go to in the cooling tower folder once again, which I could show you where this is, I guess. You go to WPI, then WPI 2008 folder, then go to cooling towers, then pages, then let's go to 650, then open that up. Then you zoom in here, you see this is a rivet. That's what they use on airplanes and aircraft and stuff when they're manufacturing. But that we use a 3/16" rivet as kind of a standard for these sections here on the external of the 10 ton through 25 ton, which is 650 and 850 once again. So drew those there, and you notice there's just 3. I'll skip between there to show you 3 here, and once again 3 here on the shell of the tower, as you see. And then another thing I changed, you had what looked like hex head bolts or something going in here, but actually these are self-tapping stainless screws, and I'm going to show you here what they look like. Once again, over here, this is the head of what these the louver screws is what we call them. This is what we use for that. It's not a hex head deal. And also, you had some right here and right here, but actually, there's no bolts on the side of the unit on the side of the louver there. It's just strictly 1, 2, 3, 4, around the edges. Now, one other thing I noticed is you had a flange down. Hold on, let me scoot it down. You had one right here, but actually on these towers, this flange gets what do you call it? It gets. Let me grab a piece of a mold. Well, anyhow, it gets folded into the tower, so you don't see it. So that hole that's cut in the fiberglass, this fiberglass. That bottom lip here, it hold on, copy paste. This bottom lip gets sat into that, and then the top piece gets folded. The top section gets folded against this fiberglass. So in other words, just delete that. all together. Then you've got kind of a finished product, and you've got your one screw there. That's good. You got your one screw here. And I think one thing that once you deleted that flap, you had to, these lines, let's see if I can grab one. Well, the line that's going right here, these were extending a little too low, so I just scooted them up a little bit just to make them where it show that they're just a part of that. They weren't, you'll notice when you go to do that on the other ones that you have to do that. Excuse me. So next thing would be, let's see. So let's talk about the. Hold on one second. So let's talk about the. Oh yeah, one thing I did that you had these shown, I believed, is like this. But actually, you need to make them where you got a little coming out there. And I don't think you actually showed the one on this side either. You just showed the one there. But you notice here how I put one here on this side, and I think it was on this actually that you had that like that, which you actually need to kind of show the Schedule 80 pipe coming out of there and then being capped off. There, that's capped. That looks good. So I guess the next thing, well, you'll notice how I've labeled these, installed as standard, the makeup valve. We'll just talk about the inlet, the little system I made. Well, first off, I don't know if I mentioned it, so that I took the kilowatts out so that, in case it made the customer confused whether on the electric portion of it, whether it's, kilowatts of heat removal or kilowatts of electricity consumption. I can't remember if I mentioned that. But anyhow, so the way the system I'm going to do it, we got inlet A1, inlet A2, and then outlet B1, and then outlet B2. So those are our options, I guess, or our selection options for the customer whenever they come to us with a purchase. They've got an option to select. Really, this is decided at the job site if they want to use this one or this one, because we put both of them on there. Because if you'll notice on the manifold that is built for this tower, it actually looks like this right here. I show it with a flange on it. Once again, we don't put the flange. It would actually be a cap on this end as well. This is what is inside the tower, the spray nozzle. So for that, the little system over here I wrote up, it says customer choose between A1 and A2 at the job site. They're both installed as standard on the cooling tower at WPI factory. Both inlets are dry capped for shipment at the factory. Customer to glue cap of unused inlet connection at the job site. Pretty straightforward. So that's the system for the inlets. Once again, this is labeled the same over here, so you can tell which one corresponds with this, either side of the tower. So then let's move on to the outlet selection options. So obviously we've got 1.5 inch here for that, and then 3 inch for that, B1 and B2. I used B1 and B2 because of the fact you would get kind of confusing if you had used the letter A or a numbering system. So I went with B1 and B2 for that. So you come over here to this regarding the location of the outlet connection, and you notice it says customer choose between the outlet B1 and B2 actually at the time of purchase, rather than like this one here is at the job site, because of the fact that both of these are installed on every tower. I mean, that's always there. But with the outlet, whenever the customer purchases, they have two options here. They can either go with a side outlet, a B1, an outlet B1, if they're connecting to a pump suction directly to the tower, or obviously B2 installed at factory if customer is elevating cooling tower to gravity flow back to external buffer tank sump. The sump's just another word for a cooling tower buffer tank. So that pretty much sums it up. I really like I really would like them to look kind of like this, where you've got your specs, you've got your your tower here, everything kind of looks kind of symmetrical. One thing I did do is I scooted this over. You had this kind of like over here maybe a little bit, but let me scoot back. I kind of centered it more. It kind of bugged me. You'll notice it whenever you look at it, that it was maybe a little, well, now it looks freaking A. Now it looks really off-centered, so let's just go ahead and get real critical. Bear with me here. I'm going to go like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, actually I had it centered pretty dang good. So we can go ahead and delete and delete. And I think we're pretty much done. The only other thing I really wanted to talk to you about, and I wanted to get your, one other thing I did, if you notice these, the little edges there, and also the edges here, you notice how you did not put the edge on this side, which is correct, but what you accidentally did was you had these over here on this side of the tower, but in actuality, if we get this picture back open, this beveled edge here where they have made the fiberglass thicker for this connection, there is not one here, and likewise down here, like you had showed it, the thicker fiberglass beveled edge, or the whatever you want to call it, the little spot for the fitting where the fiberglass has become, they installed it thicker. There is not one here. There is not one on the other two sides of the tower, and that. But with this top one, of course, because you've got this side pipe coming out and there's a pipe coming out on the far side, there's two. There's one here. There's a beveled edge here and a beveled edge here, but there's not one on this. Let me click over here. There's not one on this side or the opposing side of the tower. It's just flat. Now, one thing that kind of stuck out to me that we might look at doing, we ought to talk about it on the phone because it's kind of one of the things, like if we're going to do it, we got to do it right kind of deal. But, with these towers, if you notice in terms of to scale, like scaling these drawings, this would be really good for, I think, the 1250 through 1850. I think this scale would work good. But if you notice, this tower is just really narrow, compared to what you're showing here. Now, the 1850, on the other hand, let me get one of those pictures opened. I'm going to go to quote templates. I'll just pull it over here so you can see what I'm doing. Quote templates, open cooling tower. Go to 100 ton for the heck of it, and we'll open this one. Yeah, you notice that, with the scale on these, you're pretty close there, in terms of scale. And even on, if I was to open up the 1550, it's pretty close on scale. It's looking better than this one over here, the little narrow, small one. I don't know whether this was a 850 or 650, to be honest with you, but they're pretty similar in terms of scale. Let me get. I do know where I can find a picture of a. Hold on, no. I know where I can find a picture of an 650. This is an actual 650 here. We used to get them in a green color. Let me zoom in. And if you'll notice, the scale on this is obviously not like that. It's going to be a lot taller and narrower than what this appears. It probably would be more along the lines of something in this neighborhood. Oh, hold on. Oh, crap. Something like that ish. And that's something we can play with and fix. It wouldn't be that big of a deal to fix that. And I think that we ought to do it kind of like that for the 650 and the 850, just so that once again, when the customer looks at it, they're not like, wow, this is a really wide tower, because like I said, our scale here, if you were to look at it, bear with me here, let's go rotate 90 degrees, go like that. If this was 24 inches out of 78, it'd be more like down here as about a third rather than over half of the length of the 78. So, that just kind of gives you an example of how much the scale is off. Now, one other thing that I wanted to point out, let me make it bigger. One other thing was on the lines, you didn't have an end cap arrowhead on there. let me just go ahead and click here, show you how I fixed them. Like, in other words, here's what you had before. You just had this and this, which it doesn't really finish it out. It doesn't really look, uniform, so to speak. So the way you fix that, an easy way to fix it, you could click every single line. That'd be an easy way to do it. Or, you could just click this one, go ahead and do, wait, it's all the way at the bottom, the little one. See how small it is? That one, and go all the way down to the bottom and click that one. So there's the ones we like. And then you can click this one. Crap. No, I take that. See, if you were to hit Control R to redo the effect you just did on this one, see how it only does one side? So what you need to do is, let me go hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. You go here and push, you push this, the F12. So I'm going to push F12, which pulls up in the outline pen. So you can do the weight, you can do the end arrows, color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and in one fatal swoop, I'm going to do both sides. So hit OK, and then now notice how it did both of them. So you can come over here and by see what I'm going to see, Control R, repeat pen. When you hit Control R, it repeats the last step you just did. So you can actually do one and get it the way you like it. But then after that, you can go back and highlight all of these and hit Control R and do the same action to all of them.